And we are live. Hello, 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 everyone. Sean P. Diddy Combs. Come on in. Come on in. We have a virtual court hearing coming up. The case of the United States of America versus Sean P. Diddy Combs. Continuous coverage of this racketeering case that Diddy kind of beat, though he was convicted of some minor charges when it comes to the Mann Act. We've been covering this trial, the twists and turns of the Sean P. Diddy Combs trial. 35 days, I believe, we had with this trial. Ultimately, the most serious charges, Diddy, of racketeering and sex trafficking. Not guilty. Not guilty. However, 2 counts of Mann Act violations, transportation of prostitutes over interstate lines, transporting prostitutes. He is convicted of that, faces up to 20 years in federal prison. Unclear how much time Diddy's going to get. Virtual hearing. Now, this is going to be interesting, and we are going to cover the virtual hearing that's coming up at 2 p.m. Eastern. It seems like there is some agreement here between the prosecution and the defense in reference to the sentencing. Today will not be sentencing. The discussion will be about the sentencing and other matters, but sentencing will not happen today. And we were wondering over the weekend, hey, is it possible that he gets sentenced today? And it's unlikely because there's the PSI. He's going to have to get a PSI, pre-sentence investigation. They put the sentencing October 3rd, 2025, just like around the time we discussed during the course of the trial. Sentencing would be in October sometime, 3 months, 4 months out for probation to do a pre-sentence investigation. It'll be the probation. It'll be the United States Probation Department, which is technically a separate entity from the prosecution. They will be doing a PSI. As we heard during the case of the trial, the defense wanted Diddy released from prison and also wanted that judge ultimately denied that because of factors into play. Diddy's violence. Some of the victims were speaking out, dangerous, saying he's a danger to the community and whatnot. The judge ultimately held him pending sentencing, though the judge said, as the defense wanted to expedite the sentencing forward. And it seems like we have a possible agreement here. Now, whether the judge agrees with that or not, that's another story. September 22nd, 2025. That appears to be an agreement between the prosecution and defense. And I think ultimately the judge will agree with this sentencing. It allows the PSI, pre-sentence investigation report, to happen, which takes time. It takes time. Now, we'll get that information hopefully here within the next, starting in the next 25 minutes. Inner City Press and other media outlets are going to be in the courtroom. It's an interesting court hearing today. It's virtual. So none of the parties will be present. I don't think we'll have media cameras outside of the courthouse like we've done during this trial. Hey, I see a lot of the familiar faces in the chat. Welcome back, everyone. How is everyone doing? How's everyone doing now that this is, less than a week, but it happened last week? How's everyone feeling today with this verdict? Happy, not happy? Some people are saying it was the right call. Other people saying too light. I don't think it's over by any stretch of the imagination. I know that we watched. Hello, everyone from around the world. I know we watched the defense, the line of defense outside that courthouse, victory, patting everyone back. They claim it's a victory. I'm not so sure it's a victory. And we'll talk a little bit about that in the, in a bit. I still think Diddy faces a amount of trouble here. And I don't think the judge is just going to give him a slap on the wrist. I really don't think Diddy's going to get a slap on the wrist here. Maybe he does. Now, as far as time, what the sentence should be on the 2 counts of Mann Act. Obviously 10 years per count. He's convicted 2 counts, statute maximum 20 years. I think it's 100% unlikely that he'll get the 20 years. Prosecution has indicated that the guidelines for the Mann Act is 51 to 63 months. The defense feels it's 21 to 27 months. So they're definitely apart here. They're apart here. 21 to 27 months. Do the math. Little under 2 years to 2.5 years. Prosecution saying 4 to 5 years. So pretty much in a nutshell, the prosecution wants double of what the defense of the guidelines what the defense claims. The defense claims the Mann Act because it was a sole Mann Act without particularly the conviction of coercion, fraud, and that the guideline should be 21 to 27 months. However, the Mann Act, when it comes to coercion, which is a big thing that we've been talking about during this trial, the guideline should be 51 to 63 months. Ultimately, that will, be up to the judge in reference to the time. Now, what we do know is the judge did not take, the defense's suggestion that he's a changed man. He's not a threat to society. He should be released. His jet is away from him. He's not going to run. He's a public figure. He'd be a fool to run. And, he's only facing a year at the most. Additionally, the judge didn't really buy that and kept him here. So that's a sign to me, feeling like the judge is going to go pretty hard on him and maybe go we're leaning more towards where the prosecution's at. I say that because there's victims that are apparently writing to the judge, and the judge might be talking about that today, about the letters the judge has received. And just the advocacy groups, the groups out there are just saying, this was a slap in the face to DV victims of sex trafficking, and he should be punished to the full extent of the law. And I can't see how a federal judge, just based off the totality of this, and the judge, even though he got off on the RICO, which is almost like impossible, I'm shocked that he got off on RICO. I'm sure a lot of you are shocked too. I think the judge listened to all the victims, listened to the whole case, and the judge has probably in his mind thinks that Diddy beat this case, but he's not going to beat the sentencing. He might have got lucky with a jury. Now, some people say it's a jury. Some people are putting out jury nullification, the makeup of the jurors. We listened to this case. It's pretty extreme, very graphic, very detailed. I believe it was a RICO. I 100% will continue to say, I believe that he committed RICO and the government proved it beyond a reasonable doubt. I really do. In sex trafficking and whatnot. Our opinions don't necessarily matter, but the judge evaluated, I believe, that in factoring in whether to let him out. And he did. The judge didn't let Diddy in. So I feel like Diddy's going to sit for a while. I really do. I really do think Diddy's going to sit for a while. Though it is a sign of a relief where he doesn't get a life sentence. He's not getting a life sentence on this indictment. I say on this indictment. He maybe beat this indictment, but he might have some problems. Let me just say, the talk around the talk on the streets, the street talk is Diddy's facing some other problems in other jurisdictions. He might, who knows, get indicted in another jurisdiction. Southern District of Florida, where Star Island is, 2-star, or Central District of California, the federal courts there, Los Angeles. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if they actually have a agreement between the parties, like maybe a middle ground. This is the time, a lot of times, where the judge encourages the parties, the defendants, lawyers, and the AUSA, the prosecution office, to find a solution here or come to a middle ground, or come up with, a somewhere where stipulation, some sort of agreement here between the parties of what the sentencing could be. And it very well could be split through the middle. I could say that it's I would be shocked But I was shocked that he got acquitted on Diddy or on RICO. So who knows? I'll be shocked if the judge gives him that 21 months. And I'd be shocked if the judge goes any lower than 21 months. That's pretty much not happening here at all. But yeah, who knows? Who knows? I mean, there's all types of rumors and speculations out there. Some people are saying Comey specifically sabotaged the case. There's unanswered questions. How in the heck can you bring a RICO case up with no other co-defendants? Nobody. There were so many other co-defendants out there, purportedly, KK, the bodyguards, but you didn't bring none of them up. You didn't think that Gina was going to, what's up with Gina? You bring a case, and then you were supposed to bring Gina, and Gina didn't come? You mean to tell me that the prosecution, based off all these lawsuits out there, the 60-plus lawsuits, a lot of lawsuits out there, that you couldn't bring more victims to, make the case more solid? The federal government, the big bad federal government, supposed to have a 97% conviction rate. By the way, that conviction rate stays on here because he did get convicted. He's culpable. He's culpable. They might not have got that home run, grand slam, all conviction on all 5 charges, but they got a conviction. They got him. They got him. The feds own Diddy in a sense right now. They own him right now. But to me, it was like maybe a single. They came and they ended up with a single or a double. We'll say double because two convictions. But you had all this. You had all this totality of evidence. Some people say the prosecution did not present it right or didn't really go gung-ho on him. Remember, folks, changes of administration too. A lot of these AUSA's office, the different districts, turnover because of presidencies and whatnot, different philosophies or not. Who knows? We don't know. That's the thing. We don't know. Look at the guidelines on the side here. So this is a base level Mann Act. Mann Act. 24. But all these enhancements, numbers, I've been telling you all throughout this case, he doesn't get, if he got convicted, he doesn't get sentenced that day. A pre-sentence investigation comes. It's the federal sentencing guidelines. It's a sheet of guidelines. It's a numbers game. And it's all about the numbers. There'll be number crunching. And they'll try to figure out what level Diddy is on the federal sentencing guidelines, 1 through 43. And then the criminal history points, Diddy doesn't have extensive criminal record, so I would assume he's category 1. But where's he at? Is he at level 24, like the prosecution says? Prosecution says he's level 24, 51 to 63 months, because the Mann Act was revolving around coercion, fraud, and that sort of enhanced activity. The defense feels like he's at level 16 because he didn't get convicted of the sex trafficking, the RICO with force and coercion. Therefore, the Mann Act on that aspect of just the single 2 counts puts him at level 16. So it will be an argument. It will be up to what the judge feels like it is. But also, folks, we haven't really factored in. Though the prosecution said 51 to 63 months, that is just the base level of what he did and what he got convicted of. There is also called relevant conduct. There's also called enhancements. And there's a bunch of numbers. And the numbers of the enhancements, technically, yeah, they can't use the RICO stuff against them and use the sex trafficking stuff against them. However, when it comes to relevant conduct, they actually can put some points up. And that will be up to the probation department that does the PSI, the pre-sentence investigation. So what we're going to hear today is a sentencing date. It appears to be that date that we said on the 22nd of September. And then Diddy will go back to the Metropolitan Detention Center. At that point, the PSI people, which is an independent, it's the probation department. It's the federal probation department that does the pre-sentence investigation. So the probation officers, they also do PSIs, right? So they'll do their assessment. They'll come up with all these numbers. They'll talk to the victims. They'll talk to They'll get all the case file and everything like that. They'll understand it. They'll hear the defendant's version. The defendant gets a right to say. So the PSI people will come up to the Metropolitan Detention Center. They'll bring Diddy down. Diddy will sit in a holding tank with his lawyers present. And he can decide to give a statement to the PSI people. He might have to give limited stuff. And they'll ask him. And then the PSI people will come up with a report. And before sentencing, a little bit before sentencing, both parties, prosecution and the defense, will get this PSI report, and then they can iron out whether it's legit or not, or if they agree or they disagree with it. Sometimes between the parties agree with the range that the probation department does on the PSI. Most of the time they don't. As you know here, it clearly shows that the defense is feeling like 21 to 27 months, and their whole thing is, he's a changed man. He learned his lesson. He sat in jail. He's older now. He had time to reflect. He's different. This is just single prostitution, as you heard in the bail application. It's not a prosecutable crime in the District of New York or Los Angeles, where these crimes allegedly occurred. Therefore, he should get low end of the guidelines. And then the prosecution will most likely say fraud and coercion over state lines, violence, and all that stuff that all these victims have testified during the course of the trial. I won't repeat it. You know what it is. So then you got, between the thing, and then they figure out where this number is. All about the numbers game. Now the judge will see it, and even though they might have an agreement where they're in a certain guideline range, it's guideline range. It's like something to something months. Lower the sentence, the guideline range is like more, closer together, like 21 to 27 months. On Diddy's side, that they feel that's 6 months different. So it can go 6 months either way. As you know, 51 to 63 months, that's 8. That's 8. So as you go up higher, it spreads out. For instance, when I was in the situation, my guideline range was 100 to 125 months. So it was a guideline range literally of 2 years. The higher you go up, the more it spreads out. Ultimately, I got 125 months, top end of the guidelines. Judge didn't like me. Shout out to Melinda Harmon out there. Melinda Harmon, federal judge, Houston, H-Town. Anyway, so that's what it's going to be about. We'll see. And then ultimately, then the judge has the decision to either agree with the guideline range or disagree. Even though they set a guideline range, the judge can do downward departure, which the judge feels like, okay. If the guidelines are technically 51 to 63 months, like the prosecution said, I feel like it's more we will depart down, we'll go down farther towards where the defense is at in that 21, 27 months range, or go in between 21 and 27 months and 51 and 63 months. I'll just put the number out there. 3 years in that range. I'll give you 36 months. Or the judge could be like, look, I know I've been watching this trial for 7 weeks. I've listened to everything, the totality. You're a despicable man. This does not reflect the seriousness of what you did. I'm going to enhance you, and I'm going to give you higher than what the prosecution has recommended. They do that. Don't get it twisted, folks. They do that. The judges do that in some of the cases, particularly some of these terrorism cases. So a lot of times in the fraud case, when it comes to base level, because, fraud cases go by dollar amount. But okay, let me just give you an example. In a fraud case, somebody might steal $1 million from one person. And there's a guideline range for that, but they were like, well, you stole $1 million from one person, might give you lower. But then somebody might steal 100,000 from 100 different people. And the judge was like, look, you scammed 100 different people and only 100,000. However, what you did was bigger damage because there was more victims and more Bob. Therefore, I'm going to sentence you higher than what that guideline range. We just don't know. We don't know if the judge has been compromised. We don't know what the judge's position here, but the power is within the federal judges. Now, me and Magnolia have been discussing this case. there has been people out there that have been coming out saying Diddy's going to face more charges in other jurisdictions. And I kind of want to believe that and kind of believe that. I kind of believe, based off all those drugs, guns, prescriptions, bullets, weaponry from these residents, you could get them on an 841 right there. You can get them on 921G right there on a single count. Guns or drugs in each location. I think there's a strong possibility that the government's like, ha ha, we'll get the last laugh. We'll get the last laugh here. And what will happen is we'll accept whatever sentence. He'll get his sentence here, but it'll kind of be like a holder to hold him in custody until another indictment pops up somewhere else. And he never gets out. Because I think the government itself came in with this, unless Comey and unless the team personally sabotage this to let, give him a chance to get out, to make it appear like it's justice for the victims and not. Government don't take L's. And, the way I'm seeing it is they were gung-ho as if they were going to put this guy behind prison the rest of his life. I think they might be continuing to do that. Not in the Southern District of New York, SDNY, but another jurisdiction. And I would not be shocked if there's another indictment popping up. P. Diddy comes, because people can get indicted in multiple jurisdictions. You can get indicted in all over the place. One jurisdiction. They all can take a crack at that apple. He loves apples. Everyone can take a bite of the apple with Diddy. So we shall see. We shall see what ultimately happens with that. If he, I feel like he's going to do time. Now, I can understand the defense's position to expedite this sentencing. They want to get quicker. Reason being, they might know that he might be doing a little time. They could try to ask for the position time served. He served 10 months. It'd be a waste of judicial resources if his guideline range is 21, 27 months to put him incarcerated at another, another year or two at another prison. Just give him house arrest. Give him some halfway house. But they want to get him out. The point is they want to get him out of that MDC. Either home, house arrest, or in a low facility. Because now the conviction, we all talked about this case, the maximum security prison he would have went to in a RICO. 100%. If he was convicted of RICO, he would have been in ADX Florence, Colorado, or some sort of SHU, protective custody unit in one of these higher security prisons. He would never go to a low. He would never go to a camp, and most likely not even go to a medium. They're not really going to put him up there. But now that he's facing, even if you want to go with the prosecution, the judge doesn't go above that, what their take is at 5 years, it's going to be in a camp. He's going to a camp. If he gets that 5 years left, he's going to a camp. That's where he's going. He's going to a cushy camp. Fort Dix, Danbury. I mean, there's a whole bunch of places up in the Northeast. What's that place in Raybrook camps? There's all types of places all over the place. Connecticut, there's all types of places. Pennsylvania, they got all types of camps all around. Pennsylvania got a lot of federal prison. They'll probably keep them pretty close to New York. I would say Fort Dix. Fort Dix, pretty big camp. Fort Dix in Jersey. Who knows? They want to get him out of it. They want to get him out of the MDC. At least it's better conditions because he's been sitting in solitary confinement. Have you seen the Epstein surveillance that just came out the other day with the Epstein situation? Same thing. The cell that you saw with Epstein where they showed the surveillance, similar. That's the similar conditions that Diddy is, in. He's in a room, doesn't come out, control movement, comes out, might go to a rec cage, might get let out to go see his lawyers or go to the law library, religious services maybe, and or medical. But other than that, he's in his cell multiple times a day. And there's orderlies there, that go around and fish things under his door, probably giving magazines. There's reports that inmates were actually cheering. Like they gave him a standing ovation when he came back from the MDC. What are we waiting for? We are waiting for, this is what we're doing, folks. We are going to monitor to see what the judge says today. This is a sentencing status. It's not a sentencing hearing today, but a status on the date where he should be sentenced. And I believe they came up with an agreement, and the judge is going to agree with this. I believe, unless they're scheduling him from, scheduling. Could have scheduling stuff going on with all of that. But like a sentencing date of September 22nd. And they wrote to the judge. This would be from Attorney Mark, his lead attorney. There was a letter. It says, "Dear Judge, Supermanian, the parties have met and conferred and have agreed to the following schedules for sentencing, post-verdict motions, and submissions of offense conduct to the probation department or probation office." Now, very first line there, it's crazy because a lot of people might not necessarily know about federal law. I don't knock anyone for not knowing about federal law because even I don't even know everything about the federal law, so because it's so complex under Title 18. But people said the first sentence, oh, see, probation office. Diddy's getting probation. That's not what that means. It means that the probation department is the one that do the pre-sentence investigation. Diddy getting probation from this case is slim to none. For sentencing, the defense proposes that the probation office provide the parties with a pre-sentence investigation report on or before September 5th, because that will give them time to iron it out. That the defense sentencing memorandum and objections to the PSR be filed on or before September 8th. So both parties, PSI gets done. People get the copy of the PSI September 5th. And then they have a couple days after that to review it and object. That the government's sentencing memoranda and objections to the PSR be filed on or before September 15th, and that the sentencing hearing take place on September 22nd, 2025. The government does not object to this schedule, subject to the consent of the United States Probation Office, the people that will be doing the PSI. For post-verdict motions, the party proposed that the defense file any post-verdict motions on or before July 30th, 2025, and the government respond on or before August 20, 2025. So that makes me feel like the defense also is going to file some appeals. Why not? He got convicted of lesser charges. Got nothing to lose there. Why not? So I expect some appeals or some sort of appellate issues to be presented by the defense by July 30th. Finally, the government requests that it be permitted to submit its summary of offense conduct on or before July 11th, 2025. And the defense does not object. We appreciate the court's consideration. So we got that September 22nd. But again, we'll see where everyone's at. They're all going to object. I don't think there's going to be agreement between the parties. I want to say, this is some stuff that people are not talking about. Forfeiture under the Mann Act. The government can forfeiture certain property belonging to Diddy. Will that be the entire Bad Boy Enterprises? I don't know. Could they forfeiture vehicles, his plane, anything that facilitated or helped transport these victims, prostitutes, over interstate lines? But they can forfeiture things. We just don't know can they take his home away? If they say, the Mann Act was committed inside his Star Island home, or the Mann Act was committed inside his Mapleton, Los Angeles home, does that give the prosecution the right to seek forfeiture under the Mann Act? You can get forfeiture. So that remains to be seen. Another thing other people ain't talking about is supervised release. No matter what the sentence here is, whatever Diddy gets, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, or on, up to 20, supervised release is mandatory and will follow. Meaning, I doubt the judge is going to give him 1 year of supervised release. That is not happening, though it can, but those have to be for very minor offenses. This is a big case. He is going to most likely be given 3 to 5 years supervisory. That's probation. It's supervisory. It's different than probation, but it's similar to probation. So whatever time he gets, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, up to 5 years, it's going to be followed by 3 to 5 years of supervised release. So with that being said, there is a strong possibility with just these 2 convictions that Diddy could get 5 years in federal prison, followed by 5 years of supervised release, or 3 years of supervised release. The feds could technically own Diddy for 7 to 10 years. Own him. You're under us. We own you. We control your movements, supervised release. You don't want to play around with them. It's they can prohibit you from doing, they can do their standard conditions. There's like 10 standard conditions. And then they have all types of special conditions. They could tell him limit his travel. He has to get permission before he travels. Has to stay away from known felons, stay away from people involved with criminal activity, be truthful and honest with the probation officer. There's just so many stuff. I was on that before. I had good relationships with my people, though. They kind of let me do what I wanted to do. Work hard. They will reward you. They want to see people. It's probation, they actually supervise release people. Kudos to the probation officers out there on federal level. I've really never had a problem, and I have quite a few of them, shift around. They were always cool. They want you to succeed. They really do. They really want you to succeed. He could be owned by the federal government for minimal of, say for instance, he gets 1 more year. He's already spent 10 months, and say you are going to go at the low end of the guidelines and give him 21 months. Doubt it, but we'll just say another year followed by 3 years of supervised release. The feds would own Diddy for 4 more years at the minimum. At the minimum, I can't see him getting 1 year supervised release. So 3 years supervised release, the 1 more year that he has to do, that's 4 years. 4 years is 4 years. If the feds owning Diddy for 10 years, up to 10 years with the supervisory, and you violate the condition, they could revoke your supervised release and you go and serve your time in federal prison. It's a very strong possibility. But they own him. They own him. And they also, limit his travel, limit his movement. They might go to his house every day. Probation officer check his home, make sure he doesn't have high heels, make sure, he might be banned from having Astroglide. And I don't say that being funny, but they might say, hey, you have to limit your baby oil purchases while on supervisory. You can't buy baby oil. No, I'm serious. That could be a crazy condition, but considering that, he uses baby oil and Astroglide to have the freak offs, they might tell him, while you're on supervised release, you are prohibited from going to from hoarding baby oil and hoarding Astroglide. No Astroglide. And if you do, you could get violated. We'll see. Or high heels. No high heels. Definitely no guns. I think you have to surrender your passport. International travel on supervised release doesn't happen. Rarely. Unless you're from another country and you got family overseas, whatever like that. Most people in the United States citizens asked to travel, and I tried to do it. I tried to go to like different countries and stuff while on supervised release. They just don't do it. They don't do it. They don't let you travel overseas. This is the letter. We discussed this letter already. Forfeiture, restitution, supervised release, fines. Don't forget about the fines, though the fines is kind of like nothing to Diddy. I want to know about the supervised release. I want to know about the forfeiture, how much, would actually be taken from him. Would they take away Bad Boy Enterprises? Would they prohibit him? Considering that the RICO is technically Bad Boy Enterprises, would they prohibit him from making music with Bad Boy Enterprise while on supervised release? He's getting supervised release. They can tell you based off a job, you know, there's a stipulation in supervised release. If you were involved in a certain career and your conviction is centered around that career or that job, they will prohibit you from working at that time. For instance, if you were a bank teller and you stole from a bank and you went to federal prison, you got out, you embezzled from your company, the supervised release, the probation department will say you can't work in that field. You can't work in that field. Now, another thing that's interesting too is I know some people in the chat are like, is he going to get released today? There could be a possibility that his lawyers today raise the issue to be released on bond again, even though the judge denied it again. Different situations you can keep raising. There's no really, if there's different circumstances, you can continue to raise bond. That was like, he struck out 4 times. Yeah, he asked for bond 4 times already in this case and got denied, but he can technically keep asking for bonds. There's little sneaky ways you can keep doing it. That will be interesting too. Hey, judge, he's having pre-existing health conditions. He's going through things. You know, this is a minor case. Death in his family, something going on, problems. Judge, we're asking you to release him on bond today. Always a possibility. We shall see. Continuous coverage of Sean P. Diddy Combs, just kind of giving you all the scenarios and situations and what type of scenarios. And we'll see what happens here. Mann Act, 18 U.S.C. 2421 conviction, whether his guidelines are 51 to 63 months or 21 to 27 months. That will be interesting to know. All right, so let's see what we got here. Inner City Press. We'll see what's being said here. There might be something going on. Is the hearing already over? It's quite possible the hearing might already be over. New letter suggests. Now, the Inner City Press just put something out a few minutes ago. And it says, new letter suggests October 3rd for sentencing. Let me just see something here. And let me just go with here. There's a new letter today. So we're going to get this new letter up that was just submitted. There is a new letter. Combs' lawyer submitted one letter, then a second. The deputy said the judge will get back in writing. We might even be adjourned already, which is interesting. Something else just got submitted just a few minutes ago. So we're going to get this. I'm going to read over this, get this up on the screen. Weird circumstances. This virtual hearing might already be over. And the judge is going to have to review this. So let me just try to understand this. I mean, is that it? Is that it? Is that all we got here? Nothing exciting today on Sean P. Diddy Combs. So, Mark, Sean, is that you? Yes. Where are you? In my office. Is the government? Oh, okay. Yeah. They had a virtual hearing on some sort of teleconference. Mark said, Sean, is that you? Combs is like, yes. Where are you? In my office. Deputy, is the government on? Yes. Beyond the letter, anything? No. Deputy, will get back in writing. Adjourned. That's it. That's it. Wow. Quick hearing. That took the hearing is over, folks. That's it. I thought we were going to get some sort of ironing things out. Missy, thank you for the gifted membership. Hey, Charlie. Nice to see you, Charlie. Nice to see you, Charlie. Missy with the gifted membership. Charlie. They love Charlie. Back in the house. Patty. Hello. Chrissy Floyd. Thank you for being a member. Witty said, maybe he's just innocent, bozo. Witty called me a bozo. He said, maybe he's just innocent. He's not innocent. He got convicted. He's not innocent. Okay, so we got a letter. Magnolia will get that up on the screen shortly. This new letter. Now defense letter suggests October 3 for sentencing. The first letter had September 22nd. The judge will issue a written ruling. So take it under advisement. And it was just presented to the deputy. That's very, very strange. How do we go from October 3rd to September 22nd to back to October 3rd? Mark writes this letter that got submitted today. Dear Judge, the parties have met and conferred and have agreed to the following schedules for sentencing, post-verdict motions, and submission of offense conduct to the probation office. For sentencing, the parties proposed the court's original date of October 3rd. The defense proposes that the probation office provide the parties with a pre-sentence investigation, PSR, on or before August 29th. That the defense objects to the PSR be filed on or before September 5th. And the government objects to the PSR be filed on or before September 12th. That the probation disclosed their final PSR on September 18th. That the defense sentencing memorandum be filed on or before September 19th. And that the government's sentencing memorandum be filed on September 26, 2025. So just a chain of events. You get it. You got to object, file all that. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. For post-verdict motions, the parties propose that the defense file any post-verdict motions on or before July 30th. So that stays the same. And the government responds on or before August 20th. Allergies. Finally, the government requests that it be permitted to submit its summary of offense conduct on or before July 11th. And the defense does not object. We appreciate the court's consideration. So what's up? What has changed? What has changed just from the other day from an old letter? They're like going back to square one. But that's where we got. So, yeah, that's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Thank you again, Missy, for the gifted membership. One gifted membership. Again, Missy in the house. Yeah, that's crazy. But that's where we're at. So, nothing new to exciting on that aspect. And that was just a quick, we are adjourned. Now, let me look at Inner City Press to get a little follow-up here and see if he says anything. But most of the people are responding. That's it. Some people are in the chat feeling like Diddy's going to get off easy. Why does this defense now want to have it October 3rd? Do they need more time? Do they want to say that I'm thinking for strategic reasons? They might say, well, Your Honor, he's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center for over a year. Year and a day. There's a lot of this year and a day talk. So he can get the good time. Remember, they'll probably be pushing for a sentence. Oh, by the way, they might not just say time served, but they might ask for a year and a day. In the federal level, you'll hear a lot, year and a day. Look it up. If you get a year or less in federal prison, you don't get good time. You do not. You have to actually serve you have to be sentenced to over a year to get the 54-day good time. So a lot of lawyers will argue for a year and a day, because if they get a year and only a year, you spend the entire year. But if you get a year and a day, they could technically say, well, he served over a year and a day, which he would get additionally another 54 days, which would take him up to 14 months, 15 months, plus halfway house would take you close to the low end of the 21 to 27. That's the only strategic reason why I feel like they pushed that sentencing back to October 3rd. Remember, the judge said he considers Diddy a danger, right? Pretty much. Will he get the max? Chef Jordan. Let's talk about the chef. We played a video just 2 days ago, but the chef, Jordan Atkinson, one of the key witnesses in this case, she actually spoke on Instagram. We wanted to play this during our live just to show you what the chef, she was supposed to be a witness. She was supposed to come in within the first week and a half, and then suddenly she got scrapped. Now, some people think she got scared. Other people think that she's not credible. She got issues going on. A lot of people believe her and wanted her to come on, but she has spoken. But I want to play the chef. So let's get the chef up, and we'll listen to the chef, Chef Jordan.
Hey, it's me again. I just wanted to address a few things because I know that it's been very confusing to see my initial post about my reaction to the verdict and me saying that I was afraid. And I'd like to explain that, yes, being contacted by the federal government is terrifying. The fact that their visit happens on March 20th, and by April 4th, really, I was made aware that Sean Combs already knew about that visit, even though I declined to speak to the feds when they came. That's why I was served with the grand jury subpoena. So my thing is everyone's like, oh, that's not witness tampering, that his lawyers were trying to pay your legal fees. Now riddle me this. If someone has assaulted you in the past and they threatened your life because you know about them brutally assaulting the person that they are with, that's at the center of the case, why would you be offering to pay my legal fees? Riddle me that, okay? And I wasn't responding. So there are text messages, and I do have voicemails from that lawyer too, because they were trying to reach me. Now, in the interim of me not responding, my car was mysteriously broken into. It's a smash and grab in this city, but my car, the alarm system was disabled, and the contents of my glove compartment and my middle console, everything that was identifying me was taken out and neatly placed on my passenger seat like a serial killer. And I immediately filed a police report and stated in that police report that the feds were at my house 2 weeks before, and that I believe that this was witness tampering and intimidation. And I still do believe it. So for everyone saying, oh, he's not thinking about you, oh, he's not going to do anything to you, oh, nothing's going to happen to you, oh, you're being dumb because now you're saying where you're at. He knows where I'm at. He been knew where the fuck I was at. So there's those details. And maybe that's the only thing where anything to do with me and I have to say is alleged, because I don't have proof that he made people do that. And I believe that he did because he wanted to control my interview with the government. Like Jane. What else? All these men that are stepping up now and that are saying, oh, you know, it was just a little prostitution. Oh, it was just a little this. Oh, it was just a little drugs. If you have to pump people full of drugs for them to participate in sexual activities that you want to do, that is coercion. And I don't think that they wanted to do it. And for multiple women over decades to have said that he raped them, I believe them. I know Cassie. She said it happened. I believe her. I know Mia. She said it happened. I believe her. Kat, my friend, said it happened. I believe her. And in some of the documentaries, there's a common thread. None of these women had spoke to each other. You want to know what the common thread is? Is that his eyes turned black and he looked like a demon. And so I believe that he was doing these things when he was out of his mind because he was a drug addict. Because he was a drug addict. He is a drug addict. Yeah. And so a lot of the verbal abuse and tantrums that us employees that were dealing with him quietly and silently were due to his drug abuse because he was a fucking drug addict. A high functioning drug addict. And then it's like, oh, why are you guys saying something now? And because I can now. Because I can now. And you know what? And I just don't care no more. And he's getting away with everything that he's done for decades. And all of these men that keep trying to pacify the behavior, y'all are predators too. So if you gotta pump women full of drugs so that you can have sex with them, you're a fucking predator. Okay? So yeah. So I just wanted to get that off of my chest too. Let me see. What else do I want to get off of my chest? Multiple executives over decades have helped cover up crimes, okay? And it should have been focused on them because the reality is nobody values women. Nobody cares about what was happening to them. Abuse apparently doesn't matter. When you pump people full of drugs to get them to do what they want to do, apparently they were doing it because they wanted to. No, but if the focus would have stayed on all the executives, I don't know why this wasn't presented. I don't know. Not my case. And that's what my lawyer had to keep telling me. So then it's like, why didn't you testify? Because I freaked out on them. Because I told them, literally, you're going to lose it. Because I don't know what you guys are doing. And so, yeah, just wanted to clear that up. And I understand that you guys don't really understand sex work. And there is a lot of nuances. And listen, people's sexual kinks is not the problem. But when you have to beat people into a submission, that is the problem, okay? I don't know how nobody understands this, but I stand with victims, and yeah, and I want to move forward, but I just don't understand. You guys don't know Cassie. I believe that she was raped. You don't know Mia. I do. I believe she was raped. You don't know Kat. I know her. I believe she was raped. He's a fucking rapist. And so I don't care. That's what I believe. Have a great day, everyone. Fuck.
Okay, so that is Chef Jordan Atkinson, Diddy's first celebrity client, right? Or Magnolia put that up. Her first celebrity. Whoa. Sidebar. I just want to put out other information here too, folks. Could Diddy's fortune be at risk? And it says Combs has been sued by multiple people who claim they've been victims of physical or SA. He has already paid $20 million to Cassie. Most of the lawsuits, though, are still pending. And it isn't clear how many, if any, will be successful or how much it will cost Combs to defend himself in court. I will just say, if you're being sued 60 times, or you're just getting your lawyers to handle all of them in just one batch here, or one at a time, and just say, hey, I'm going to pay this lawyer $10 million for one retainer to handle everything, or does the lawyers, do each and every one? That remains to be seen. That's going to cost a lot of money. Whether some of those lawsuits are successful or not, who knows? But I want to share something else that has been put out there. Federal prosecutors have informed the court that if Combs is convicted, they would seek to have him forfeit any assets, including properties used to commit or facilitate his crimes. It is not immediately clear following the verdict how prosecutors would proceed or whether asset forfeiture would be part of the sentence imposed by the judge. That you have to keep an eye out on, because it's possible things could be seized. We just don't know. So we'll leave it at that, folks. Sentencing October 3rd. Once these PSIs or any type of public information or court documents get shared, we will share here on JLR Investigates. We will follow this story. Someone with this case, very, very close, have reached out to us, and we're ironing out things and possibly getting that person on the channel. So stay tuned for that exclusive interview, possibly coming very, very soon. We appreciate everyone's support, everyone watching continuous coverage of Sean P. Diddy Combs. Anything else breaks on this case, you will definitely hear it here on JLR Investigates. Thanks for watching. we will be watching the sentencing and start to cover these civil suits as they pile up, whether it's against him, his children, certain people and his children, Christian, Justin being sued now, and some of these other celebrities too. So we got our eyes on the suit. Will anyone else be indicted? What happens with KK and D-Rock and Fahim, bodyguards? What happens to them now? Are the government going to proceed and indict them next? I will say this too. It is a strong possibility, folks, that they give Diddy a bunch of time. I'll just leave it at this. There is just look up Rule 35. Rule 35. It's similar to people that cooperate in federal cases. People before sentencing gets 5K1 substantial assistant cooperation. It is a very strong possibility, folks, that Diddy gets significant time here, and then they offer him cooperation under Rule 35 for a reduced sentence, because it's for people that already been sentenced but have information that can help the government in other cases. The question is, would they give Diddy a lot of time and then offer him a Rule 35 to tell on the others? For Diddy himself, while he's serving years in prison, hey, Diddy, you got a 7-piece, you got a 5-piece here. Tell on KK and what she did and cooperate against KK. Cooperate against your bodyguards, and we'll reduce your sentence, get them convicted, get the RICO, and seize all the assets. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. We're in uncharted territory, but we are covering this for sure. Thanks for watching, folks. We'll talk soon. JLR Magnolia Investigates. Have a good day, everyone.